Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
So thank you so much for coming today, and we're going to jump right in and do some history, and then after the history we'll flow into really getting you prepared for doing the work, but it's first good for me to have some background and a little bit of an idea of what it is you'd like to work on. So I know a little bit about your backstory already, but for the purposes of EMDR, I'd like to get an idea about what is it specifically you would like to work on with me during this session.
I've been having some difficulty again with food.
Okay. And the nice thing with EMDR is you can tell me really as much or as little as you want to as I ask you these questions, and even as we go through later points of the procedure. Just for the point of clarification, to get us a little deeper into the history, anything specific you're willing to share with me right now about your difficulties with food, and maybe specifics of what you've noticed or how you think it may be helped by the EMDR.
Well, currently there's not as much an urge to eat the food. It's more lack of planning, too tired, so I just grab whatever's there or easy. And those aren't always the healthiest choices. They tend to be more the carbs. So some of it can be comfort eating at times.
Okay. Yeah, and in a few minutes here, I'll ask you a few more questions for us to delve more into the themes behind that. But before we get into that, I'd actually like to spend some focus on some of the positives that you have coming in here. So the words that we like to use a lot, sometimes interchangeably, are words like strengths, assets, resources, basically the things that are good that you got going on in the service of your recovery. So even as I'm asking the question now, what is coming up for you as things that are resources for you?
I have some good friends.
Okay.
I would say also some of my family members are supportive to the best of their ability. And their intention is to be supportive, even though it doesn't always necessarily seem that way from sometimes what they verbalize.
Okay.
But I believe their intention is to be supportive. Two, more of a spirituality.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about your spirituality? No right or wrong answers. I'd just like to hear what it means for you.
Well, it continues to evolve. That there is, oh goodness, I don't need to put this into words, so.
It's okay.
That there's something larger than me. I believe it's a positive entity, not punitive. And it's difficult to put in words. Is that enough to give
That's
you
enough,
a
yeah. So something we work with a bit in EMDR are things like guided visualizations, breath, body type meditations. Have you had any experience with those types of practices?
Guided imagery.
Okay.
Especially a disengaging breath to disengage the fight, flight, or freeze. Just deep breathing at times, because I realize I still go through periods where I hold my breath frequently. A magical safe place is very helpful for me.
Great. So as part of the preparation, that's great what you gave me there. I'm going to have you show me the disengaging breath that works well for you, and then we'll do your magical safe place together. So, okay. So the specific issue here that we're wanting to work on is the difficulty with food. What do you think, Jamie, are some of the themes at play as they relate to some of your issues with food or seeking comfort food?
Oh, I think a lot of it cognitively I can tie in going back to my childhood. Overall, our family ate for all sorts of reasons. It wasn't just for nourishment.
Mhm.
Whether we were happy, sad, bored, tired. Issues too with deprivation at times. And so almost anywhere I go, I always take always something with me, because on some level there's still the concern that I wouldn't have food.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. So what's your goal here? What ideally would be your goal in targeting some of these issues around food? What would you like to see be different in your life?
Being able to make hard choices, I guess, when you get down to it. Planning ahead better so that I have more appropriate, healthier foods for me. Because initially the carbs, for instance, are comforting, feel good, taste good, but then if I OD on them, I start to feel sick. The weight goes on quickly. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
And am I answering your question? Okay, because sometimes I get off.
No, it's actually, it gives me enough to work on here for us to clarify this down to a more specific incident or memory that we'll target with the EMDR. So I'm going to go ahead into the next couple pages that we do here for our history to just help us get at a little more specificity. So in terms of theme, I've heard you mention the phrase a couple times now, comfort food or comfort eating. And would it be fair, and correct me if I'm wrong, would it be fair to say that seeking comfort has been a theme?
Oh, yeah.
For you?
That would be accurate, I would say.
Okay.
In different ways.
And I'm also hearing, in terms of theme, as you shared with me, some of that backstory, issues around deprivation, not having enough. So this is what I mean by theme, things like seeking comfort, deprivation. Are there any other themes that are popping up for you that you may identify as related to
Safety.
safety? Okay, so let's look at all three of those here. And again, this is not necessarily meaning we're going to tackle all of these, especially at once with EMDR therapy, but it'll help us collaboratively figure out where we most want to start this deeper trauma work, I guess. Okay, so Jamie, what I'm going to have you do is take a peek at this negative cognitions list, negative beliefs, things we may believe about ourselves. And as it relates to the theme of seeking comfort, is there a negative cognition or a series of negative cognitions that are resonating for you around that?
How many would you like?
I'm going to give you the pen.
Mark.
Yeah, go ahead and
Mark.
check off just anything at your gut level that seems to be coming up connected to seeking comfort. Okay. I want to let you know you did a very good job of keeping your breath flowing as you did that, because
Yes.
I noticed that some distress came up for you even as you were looking at the list. So, all right, so you have quite a few checked off. So as it relates to seeking comfort, I'm going to have you go back and look at your list. And can you either rank like 1, 2, 3 or circle for me which ones seem to be the most resonant, or the ones that we sometimes say have the biggest charge? Yeah, connected to seeking comfort.
A couple of these are close. So the first is like
3.
3. We're kind of close.
Okay. So I am in danger, I am trapped, and I am not important. So since you have a good bit of the list checked off anyway, I'm just going to go through the other 2 themes. So the next theme is deprivation. So having you look at the list, would you say it's the same 3 cognitions connected to deprivation, or are there others that have more charge around the theme of deprivation?
Most of them are pretty well intertwined.
Pretty well intertwined. Same with safety? Okay. Okay, Jamie, so the 3 cognitions we're going to do some questioning around are I am in danger, I am trapped, and I am not important. So because we're doing a little bit more of a specific EMDR type of focus to our work around your issues with food, and not necessarily working on the whole of your childhood trauma, although we know inevitable connections may come up. So looking at a question like I am in danger, generally I would ask, thinking back over the course of your whole life, when's the first time you started believing I am in danger? But to make it a little more specific, I may ask, as it relates to food, can you float back over the course of your whole life, and when did you first seem to start believing I'm in danger?
Getting like a feeling I'm young.
Yeah.
Maybe 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wedged under the basement stairs. And I'm cold and cramped.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad hasn't found me,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not going to move. And I think the cold and cramping is more, I'm more aware of that,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm hungry too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's nighttime. Not that I would, I know that, but the basement had no windows, so,
Yeah.
but I know it's nighttime.
Yeah. Sounds like definitely not uncomfortable, or it's not comfortable.
Comfortable.
Yeah, so I could see connections there. All right, so we don't have to go into this just yet. This is kind of getting an overview, so thank you for giving me the generalness. Is there a worst memory connected to I am in danger, or would it be about that same time in your life as well?
This one seems a bit later.
Okay.
I'm 7.
Okay.
I'm in the box.
Mm-hmm.
They said I was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's some big structure.
Mm-hmm.
And they left.
Mm-hmm.
And in there a long time. And I'm hungry. And I don't think they're coming back. And there's no way for me to get out.
So let me ask you this, Jamie, with I am trapped, does it feel like that floats back to that similar memory of
To
being
in the box?
Yeah.
Because under the stairs, I can eventually move. But I think Dad has fallen asleep.
Yeah.
But I cannot get out of the box on my own. I have to unlock it.
Take a breath. And then I am not important, which is the third belief you gave me. I'm going to ask you to float that back. And was it a similar memory, or is there another one that's coming up as an early or a worst connected to I am not important?
It feels like this happened at various times. I'm not being able to localize it, for lack of
That's
a better
okay.
term, but it happened various times where Dad would stop the men because they were damaging the merchandise. So I wasn't important, I was merchandise.
Okay. And can you take one of your releasing breaths for me that you told me about with that? So, of these past memories that you told me about, and I thank you for being transparent and willing to share them even at this early juncture in our work, which one, knowing your felt sense and knowing what you know about yourself, would you think we would most need to work on to help you start targeting your issues around food? Specifically your goal of making better, healthier choices for yourself, particularly when you're needing to seek comfort.
What's coming up is the box.
The box.
There's less control.
Yeah. And let me ask you, Jamie, is that feeling like something you'd be willing to work on in our work? Or do you feel there's another more recent memory around the themes of comfort, deprivation, or safety that may feel like it's a little more of a better entry point? Because with the EMDR, we always have these choices to take you way back to the past, which is the most ideal, of course, because that's where we believe a lot of this starts. But we never want you to feel like you have to tackle something you may not quite be ready to handle right away, even though it may be related. So that's why we always ask this question: is there a more recent memory around, let's say, seeking comfort and I am in danger that may be coming up for you?
The more recent memories, there's not as much charge to them.
Okay.
So I think we'd probably make more progress if we go with the box.
I am game if you are game.